Welcome back everyone to the Hessian Technical video series on mutual assistance groups. And this is part 2 of organizing your own group, specifically using the Army's Special Forces team structures as a guide for creating roles and positions within the group. A quick rundown. Last video we discussed the 18 Alpha, 18 Bravo, and 18 Charlie positions. Link will be above if you have not seen that video. This video will be discussing the 18 Delta Medical, 18 Echo Communications, and 18 Fox Intelligence positions, and how they could be useful in your mutual assistance group. So, the 18 Delta is a very critical position within any group. Neighborhood Watch, not necessarily needed, but anything above that in terms of mutual assistance groups, you should always have a medic. The role in the mutual assistance group is pretty obvious. They are your medic. They know the medical care, at least until paramedics and a hospital staff can take care of the person. Or if this is a complete disaster zone or apocalypse scenario, they might be your only source of medical treatment. So their primary role, obviously medic. They are also your medic's supply sourcer. They know where you can get your medical supplies. They know the best places to order, the cheapest, what supplies you need versus which ones you don't. They are also your medical trainer because everyone in your group should have training in every single role, but they are not your subject matter experts except for their role. Your medic is your medical subject matter expert. People best suited for this role: anyone who's an EMT, if they're a nurse, a former corpsman or an army medic, a paramedic, anyone who typically works in the medical field. Obviously, doctors work too, but if you have a doctor in your mutual assistance group, honestly, you're kind of lucky. Suggested resources if you don't have someone, or if that person wants further training that they don't have here. TCCC training, which is Tactical Combat Casualty Care. This is honestly the training that all your members should have at the minimum. Your medic should be the first one to get this, though. American Heart Association CPR and first aid training is also good. It will kind of, some parts of that training might counteract TCCC, but both are good to have. EMT training. And then there's also the SDP 31-18 Delta 34. It's the Army Special Forces Medical Sergeant Handbook. There are 2 parts, A and B. Also good sources. Next, you have your communicator, your 18 Echo. This is the person who is your radio operator, or this is your primary individual who manages cell phone communications between group members, handling any relay of all of that deals with communication. They're your comms guy. As the role in the MAG, they are your comms planner. They're the ones who determine what the comm plans are in terms of order. In what case are cell phones used? In what place is internet communications, such as Facebook, Telegram, whatever, used? And when do you switch over to radios? They are also the equipment sourcer. If your group chooses to have radios, they're the ones who determine what radios fit the group's budget, and suits the needs. They're also the radio trainers to train the group on how to properly use their equipment via Telegram, internet communications, the phone if for some odd reason your group doesn't know how to use phones, and how to use radios properly. People best suited for this are ham license holders, because legally you cannot operate a ham radio without a license. So that would be something to look into for your group as a whole, and this would be the person to train them in that in order to get their ham license. For their former radio operators from the military, be it Army, Navy, Marine Corps, radio hobbyists, primarily because they probably already have their ham license already. Suggested resources: the AA or ARRL ham radio training and licenses. Again, if your group is going to be using radios, especially ham ones, not the family frequency radios you can buy at Target, you're going to need your licenses. There's also the Army Special Forces Radio Operator Handbook. And finally, in terms of the 18 series MOSs as a guide for coming up with roles for your mutual assistance group, you have your intelligence, your 18 Fox. This is your intelligence specialist, your newsman, whatever you want to call it. The role in your mutual assistance group is this is the guy who is constantly following events, local, world, regional, everything. He's your newsman. He's the one who's constantly browsing CNN, Fox, MSNBC, New York Times, anything he can get his hands on. He's going to be the one that conducts your area studies so that you know who is your law enforcement, who is your local government, what is your nearest military support units, what is the crime activity in the area, what gangs are known to be operating in your area. They are the ones that identify and tracks the potential dangers, including land dangers. They're also the ones who understand where are fuel points, where are supply points, where is, if a gas leak was to happen, where is it possible? If a landslide, what are the areas that are at risk of landslide? For things like that, he would probably also work with whoever your 18 Charlie is to do a land study of this area of the area around you might be susceptible to a landslide. This is a low landmass that might be susceptible to flooding. This is your guy that keeps track of all of those events. Individuals best suited for this role: you have your former Intel, your 02 series Marines, 35 series Army. They already know what they're doing. They already know how to gather the intelligence you need. Former law enforcement detectives, private detectives, OSINT practitioners, anyone who has an Intel style or hobby. Suggested resources: you have books, Intelligence Analysis Fundamentals, Intelligence Analysis, a Target-Centric Approach, Open Source Intelligence Techniques, Structured Analytic Techniques for Intelligence Analysis. You can even find some training places online, such as grayzoneactivities.com. If you want to train your Intel guy, throw him in cold and make him find the resources he needs. It helps. Considerations when you're creating your roles and organizing your mutual assistance group. There are certain skills that are not specific to a given role that you might think of if you're using the 18 series because you're coming up with an apocalypse group. You need to figure out who's responsible for your land nav and map reading skill set, who's responsible for your basic survival skill set, and every role is responsible for physical fitness. So make sure you're aware of certain skills that don't rely on a specific role that you have, that could be a part of multiple roles, or that actually belong to every role because they're just a basic necessity. As far as resources, also consider availability of your supplies, the financial considerations of your members. Don't go out and try and source a $5,000 piece of equipment for every person, because every person in your group probably can't afford it. Figure out what is affordable for your group as a whole. And remember commonality. Doesn't have to be complete uniformity for equipment, but make sure that the equipment you are selecting as a group is common among each other, that they work together. Make sure the radios that people are sourcing work together. They have the same frequency allowances. If you want to do encryption, make sure all the radios can be encrypted the same way. You got to make sure you consider all that. You also have to consider legality. This guide is meant as a means for people to think about organizing a defensive mutual assistance group for their safety in case of home disaster, local disaster, or something bigger. But make sure you're following applicable laws. Don't be making explosives for your engineer guy unless you have a guy who has a FFL license with a SOT on it and he's allowed to make explosives. It's completely illegal. I am not condoning it. I am not recommending it. Follow the laws. Remember, your mutual assistance group does not have authority anywhere. It is only for your benefits if things go bad. Law enforcement is still law enforcement. You do not have authority. And again, remember, do not go overboard. Design the group around your needs and your application. Stick to it. If you expand reasonably. If you add new members, fill them into a role, duplicate roles, design what you need. Some examples of ways you can use this as an idea for organizing your mutual assistance group. Say you're organizing a home emergency group in case there's a fire in the house or water pipe bursts or what say you. The father might be your 18 Alpha, the leader, organizing monthly group meetings just to talk about it in case this happens, in case that happens, and everything. Maybe the mom is the medic to keep the house stocked with medical supplies in case of injury, whatnot. Let's say your son likes playing Fortnite or wants to be an architect in the road. He can be your engineer and start learning some building techniques, whatnot. So if you say down the road you want to build a porch, he can help design it and build it. If your daughter likes being on the phone all the time with her friends, maybe she could be the perfect communications role, keeping everyone in touch. Neighborhood emergency group. For example, let's just say you watching this video, because you're the one who goes out and talks to your neighbors and everything and organizes the group, you're the leader, you're the organizer, so you're running the meetings, you're the final say on finding the purpose of the group, whatnot. Say the first neighbor you talked to who was interested in is a construction contractor, whatever. He makes a perfect engineer for the role. So if, say you have a wall that falls down in your house or something, you need advice on how to rebuild it, or again, you want to build a porch, he's the one you can go to for advice. Your other neighbor is a security officer at a hospital or downtown somewhere. Well, he's your 18 Bravo. He's your security guy. He would be the guy you go to for if you wanted to look into maybe setting up security cams around your house and you wanted advice on what's the best system to buy, is that type of thing. And let's say you have another neighbor who's interested in, they're a journalist, writes for the local newspaper or maybe a magazine. He would be a perfect guy for your 18 Fox because he knows how to go out and interview people and find information. Just some examples of how you could use this. Well, I hope this video has helped you get ideas on how you could potentially organize a mutual assistance group if you're even considering organizing one. Again, mutual assistance groups don't have to be a big thing. Again, they can just be your family in case something happens in the house. It's up to you to decide your needs and how to create the roles around that. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please consider subscribing. We also have a Patreon, Hessian Tactical, if you want to support us and help us make better videos and more videos. Hopefully we see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay secure.